This is the frame in which I will be demoing on. This is a demo frame, this is not someone's actual frame. Once you have a prepared safe surface, you will want to take your lenses and your frame in your hand and take your flathead screwdriver to be able to get the binding of the wire out of the side of the frame. This will allow for us to refurnish the frame as a whole and be able to get it all out. As you can see, I am pulling the little bind, almost like a knot, out with the screwdriver. This allows for me to get enough pressure under there to get that out of there. The wire is very tough and it has been there for quite a while, so this will be a little bit of a challenge to get out and it takes a little bit of time. If the flathead screwdriver is not doing the best, you can grab your pliers and try to pull it out. Once you have it loose enough, the pliers will be able to pull them out effectively so that there is no issue with getting the wire out completely. Once you have it all out, you can take your fingers and push the little hole, almost like a loophole, and be able to grab that with your pliers. As you can see, I am pushing those out and then taking my flathead screwdriver to be able to loosen it a little bit more for myself to make it easier for the wire to come out. As you can see, I was able to get the left lens out, the left wire. So then you're going to want to pop out the right lens, just like that in the top corner. And then there is your wire that is holding that lens. Then you will do the same thing for the other side. And with this, you will want to take your pliers to be able to loosen that up. And then if needed, you can take your flathead screwdriver to be able to loosen that up. This will allow for you to be able to pull that out. And as you can see, I was able to simply pull that out once it is loosened. Then you will take the other side and try to get the loophole to get enough loosened to pull that out completely. As you can see, there is a small loophole that is made when applying pressure to move that wire out. You can take your fingernails or your hand or even your pliers to be able to pull that out effectively. Once that is out, you can safely pull that completely out and get rid of that wire. Now you can see that there is no wire being accompanied by the frame. It is completely out. Now that you have been able to get both wires out of each lens, you will then administer new wires. One for the right or left, and then the other one for the one that is the left one. You will then grab your ribbon, which is just a generic ribbon to be able to allow for the wire to sit in the groove of the lens. You will then take your frame and start with the wire on the top little loophole to get that in there. Make sure that it is secure to allow for the other side to go in the bottom hole. Now that you have fed that through, you're going to tighten it to create almost like a knot. And then you're going to start from the bottom and then go to the top to create a loophole for the other side. You want to make sure that this wire is not too loose or too tight, and make sure that the lens will be able to tightly fit. As you can see, it is very loose, so we will want to be able to tighten that up a little bit more. Trying to find the size of the lens can be typically hard, but once you get the hang of it, one side is easier than the other. Now I need to loop that into the top hole, just a little bit backwards from the last time in which we did it. This wire will allow for the lens to sit properly within the frame and tight so that the lens does not pop out. Once you have tightly administered the wire, as you can see, there are excess material on the inside of the lens in which we need to get rid of. You will then take your sharp pliers and cut those off to allow for the lens to sit correctly. As you can see, there is no excess and the lens is ready to go in. You'll take your lens and you'll be able to line it up with the top groove of the frame. Then take your ribbon and administer it with one end on one side of the wire and the other towards you. You'll then tightly pull to administer that wire into the bottom groove of the lens. Making sure that it is completely administered within the groove of the lens can be hard, but take your time so you do not break the wire. Once you have it in, your ribbon will seem very tight. So you will safely administer that out of the lens and pull that towards you, but hold the lens securely in the frame. Make sure you pull any excess ribbon, and there is your lens with a semi-rimless wire. Now that you have your lenses in place, you will go to do adjustments. With this one temple is higher than the other, which causes issues on how the glasses will sit on one's face. You will want to bend very carefully but efficiently to be able to have them equal. As you can see, they are slightly equal now, and then you'll move on. Now that you have those completely equal, you want to bend the temples in to allow for them to be able to be tight around their head so that they are not slipping off. You'll take your frame adjuster and put the metal on the inside and the plastic on the outside and slightly apply pressure and bend those in. You'll do that to both sides to make sure that they are equal on both. Now I will be bending behind the ears so that the back end curves around. And now you can see the nose pads. You'll take your clear silicone nose pads that you have accompanied, and you will then screw out the old nose pads with a flathead screwdriver and pop those out. In this sense, you need to be very careful so that you are not spiking the lens with that flathead screwdriver, and screw them out safely. With these nose pads having been there for a while, as you can tell from the discoloration of them, the screw might be a little bit tight. So you'll want to try to move that out and loosen it as much as possible. And if needed, you will then grab your screw holder that will then help you administer that easily. You'll grab that screw and you'll pull it out. Now that you have the screw out and you're able to pop out that nose pad, as you can see, the nose pad holder is completely nose padless. Then you'll move on to the next one and do the same thing with that. Take your flathead screwdriver and turn to the left to allow for the screw to become loosened. So then you can use your screw holder to pull that out. Now that you have both of them out, you can take your clear silicone nose pad and stick the side in which you will screw in into the nose pad holder. You'll want to take your screw holder and screw that in to allow for it to have a base to put in the screw. This will then give you a leeway to put your flathead screwdriver and screw that in. You'll then apply pressure with your screw holder and then take your flathead screw and screw that screw in as tight as possible. Once you have the screw completely tightened, as you can see, you have your nose pad in. Then you will do the same thing for the next nose pad. Now that you have both nose pads administered, you'll take your nose pad tool and you will bring those in to allow for the nose pads to sit comfortably on the patient's nose. This will allow for the glasses to be able to sit effectively and allow for them to be able to see out of their lenses. Now that those are administered correctly and have almost like a triangle shape, you will then move on to clean your lenses with a Zeiss cleaner. Apply a couple spritz of that, and then use a microfiber towel specifically to make sure that you are not causing any scratches or any grime. As you can see, the lens is completely cleaned and has a very nice reflection off of it. This is our after with our new nose pads, adjustments, and realigning of the lens. This is a great example of a completely administered semi-rimless frame. This is what you will see when people are coming in to want their frames fixed, and this is a completely polished frame.